Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have yet another fantastic guest for you. We have got the lovely Mike from Haunted Towns. And I'm going to bring on Jolene because we have Jolene with us today. She is co-hosting with me. Hi, Jo.
Hello. Hi.
We are so excited for this one, aren't we? Well, I think we've been excited for all of them. I think there isn't many we haven't been excited for.
I just think every time we kind of announce a new guest, I think it just kind of, it gets even bigger, doesn't it? The more people that we've spoken to over the course of the past, 24 hours, everything just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And, the guests that we've had on have been amazing, haven't they?
And they will continue to be as well. So without further ado, we bring him on because obviously it's not us you want to look at. It's not us you want to listen to. It's the man himself. So I'll bring him on screen now.
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
We're good, thank you. Thank you for taking the opportunity to come and speak to us as well. We know obviously you're very busy with the Halloween season and with the Tennessee Wraith chasers. So we really appreciate you being here with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So shall we get straight into a joke? I know there's so many questions in. I'm a little bit excited. I can't help it. Sorry.
You're always excited.
I know, but I can't help it. It's because
you get giddy kipper time when you're excited. You've got all these questions, and I'm like, right, what can I steal? What can I say?
Yes, I'm like, I do apologize. It's because we've got so many fantastic guests, and you're kind of all people that I want to talk to, but it's kind of, will I ever get to speak to them? And all my dreams have come true this weekend. Let's just say that. It is. It's good. So I'm not a stalker or anything. Don't start panicking. Okay, Jo, do you want to start us off?
I think is Mike on?
Is mine?
Yeah, he's on. Yeah. That's fine. So okay, so we looked into some of your history about how you came into the paranormal, and the only things that we could kind of find about you is that you joined your paranormal team back in 2015. What kind of got you interested in the paranormal in the first place?
It's great. It's a pretty crazy story, I think. It's something I've always believed in normal ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens. It's like I've always believed in all of that. I just never sought it out, and prior to this, I was 15 plus years in the music business, just playing guitar, traveling, recording, doing everything, living the dream. And I knew a couple of guys from the gym here at home, and they were just my ghost hunting buddies at the gym, so we'd hang out at the gym, outside the gym, and all that stuff. And during that time, we were off the road recording a new album. And for me, I'm used to being gone for so long. I'm used to living out of a suitcase. I love traveling, all that stuff. And so after a few months home, I'm like, they were about to start a new season of Eloise Asylum. So I was like, man, you got to get me a gig. I'm itching to get back out on the road. And they're like, well, we can probably get you a production gig. It's, nothing fancy, but I'm like, hook it up. I'm ready to go. So those wheels started turning. Then my first thing working production was on Exorcism Live back in 2015, and then did production on Eloise Asylum. And of course, being around it all for something that I believed in, that I thought was really cool, you start experiencing more and more. You start, because when you're working production, you're in all these places by yourself a lot. Yeah. So I just started seeing things, hearing things, and it's like, man, this is really cool. And then outside of the show, I started hanging out with them more, doing very few. I think actually probably one or two residentials, but just started doing more places. Like, this is really cool. This is something I want to get into. And being in the music business for so long, I loved TV production because it's kind of the same thing, to see the birth of a song from writing it to having it on a CD, hearing it on the radio. It's amazing. So working on a TV show and then seeing that air, like to know everything that went into it, whether it be 5 hours of video just to get that 30-second thing that airs. Like, I love that side of it, the creation side of it. And so within that time, they brought me on the team, which is, I was like, this is awesome. So started doing more and more stuff. I also still dipped into TV production stuff. I worked Wild and Out, did some comedy stuff with Dennis Miller and Howie Mandel. So it's like, I love the TV side. So I kind of put the music on the back burner, and it's been on. But then I'm just doing more and more investigations with the guys, being on the team. Then we started Haunted Towns, did season 1, then we did Haunted Live, and then it's been a year now, but then season 2 of Haunted Towns. So it's like I kind of, within a very short amount of time, switched from music world to ghost hunting world. So now, thanks to Facebook memories, when things pop up and I'm like, God, that just seems like a lifetime ago, playing here or doing that. And I mean, I've done some amazing things with music. I've played New Year's Eve in Dubai, things that I would never have done if it wasn't for music, that I was definitely life. And now with this, I'm experiencing things that I would never experience if it wasn't for this. So it's like it feels so normal now. At the time, I was like, wow, what's this new thing I'm doing? And I've such a short amount of time than friends, colleagues, or whatever you want to call them of ours that I've been doing that for 20 years, from just Steve and Tango all the way to Zaffis, who's been doing it maybe longer than I've been alive. Not that young, but it's like they've been doing it for so long. So I'm just like, I'm the tadpole in the normal pond, So it's like still learning every day from everything we do. So it's a wild ride for sure.
Well, that's good. And you kind of touched upon, obviously, the production side of things. And, when you're talking about the 5 hours that you would shoot just to get 30 seconds of just, amazing footage and, and to watch it actually come alive, it is sensational, isn't it? And do you think, had you not have been a musician, would you have gone into the kind of ghost hunting side of things?
Probably not, because I think that was my stars aligning. I don't even know if I would still be touring. But, like, even in 2012, we played almost 250 shows that year. And that's a lot, and I'm gone from home a lot. And even though I enjoyed it traveling, it's like, after a while, I was ready for something new. I love tapping into a new adventure, not a new job, like, oh, now I work at Lowe's instead of Home Depot, nothing like that. Ready for adventure. I think my stars aligned, being buddies with them, and then just working production, and then now on the other side of the camera, and to be able to do something that you love to do. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, agreed. Definitely not. We love our weekends, don't we, Joe? When we get to go out, which is not very often at the moment because of COVID and all that. So we're all stuck in still at the moment. We're not allowed to do anything.
This year fell the pot fast, didn't it?
Yeah, big time.
Well, they always said, didn't they, 2020 would be a memorable year, but I think it's been memorable for all the wrong reasons, hasn't it?
So, yeah, definitely.
January was for a year. It's like,
but that's the reason why we kind of put this together, isn't it? Because it just brings everybody together, from around the world. We've got people as far as Australia, and it's just great having all these people under one umbrella, just talking about things that they love. But you just don't do just like the production side of things, do you? You're the tech guy, aren't you? That's basically what you're known as with your team.
I think, lack of better words, I think that was a title that was given, because I know after the first season, like tech expert, now, it's like I more duties, but there's nothing that I did on the team that nobody else could have done. That it was the job I had. So I think title purposes, they probably put that up there.
That's no surprise.
It's like, it's funny because it's like after that person was Aaron came out as like tech expert, I was getting flooded with messages about, oh, I got a new this kind of XLR camera, blah blah, you know, and people would just send me all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Wanted advice from you.
I love it.
Like far from tech expert.
I don't think there is any experts anywhere, is there? I don't think, you know, people like to call themselves experts, but I don't think, you know, we're always all learning, aren't we? And, you know, even still, you know, we're both mediums and there is still things to kind of learn and to find out about locations all over the world. And I don't know, you know, like when you've been doing these investigations and you're obviously, because you're in an all-male crew as well. And obviously there is that bravado, isn't there? And you know, who is the biggest screamer within your crew? Because we gotta ask. Because usually there is always somebody who usually gets freaked out. But obviously when it's an all-male crew, nobody likes to say who it is, do they?
It's hard to say. I think every share of stuff, it depends on, oh gosh, because I do this all the time, every week. If there's a common scream, it's usually the whoa, you know. I'm not gonna lie, but I think everybody's pretty equal across the board, depending on, I don't know what the episode might show. Somebody, but everybody gets freaked out equally. Without.
Yeah, I think whoa is my go-to. Oh dear.
We did 3 days at Bobby Mackey's. We were down in a portal at that well, and we came out. They're like, "How'd you feel?" I was like, "That was fine. You know, I didn't feel anything bad." They're like, "You know, it's a bunch of spiders down there." And I was like, "Oh." That when I came out, because I would have never went in there no spiders.
Yeah, neither would I.
Spiders are fine. What is it with these fly fishermen and they don't like spiders? My partner fishes and he doesn't like spiders, and it's like,
no.
Bugs, all that. When you get something that big,
I think we've got some internet issues, I think, somewhere. Yeah, some sound issues somewhere. But what's your most memorable place that you've ever investigated?
Oh, memorable. If I have to say, like, for the show purposes that aired, probably Hilo, the last season in Hawaii. Just because it was so different. It's like, yes, it's beautiful. It's Hawaii, but it's like we did the lava tubes. So it's like, it wasn't just a house. It wasn't just some abandoned prison or anything like that. So, and also with Hawaiians, like when we do some investigations that deal with Native Americans, it's a whole new spiritual realm to it, you know? So everything that you might think you know, you don't know. And it's like, you're almost going in there, you know, you're of course on edge. You're at some place just not only on paranormal sides, but physically. And it's like they said at any time, anything can erupt and you're stuck in a lava tube. So just physically you're on edge. And then also dipping into somebody else's, a whole new culture, a whole new religion, basically, you know? So it's like, then you're tiptoeing because it's like, you don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to offend any spirits, anybody you're interviewing. So it's like, to me, that was the most memorable because it's like, once you leave at the end of the night or at the end of that week, you're pretty much like, you know, we made it through, you know, because it almost made it feel like it was the first time ever doing it because everything was so new and different for us, or for me, I will say.
And if you got any plans, how about memorable place? You got any plans to go back to Gettysburg? Because I know you've said about the evidence there that you had so much that you said you have mentioned before that you could have actually done a whole season just in Gettysburg because the amount of evidence you got there.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that was pretty much 2 locations too. Yeah, we were supposed to be there in June or July, but again, COVID screwed us up. And we were really looking forward to that because it was going to be, well, Chris and I were going to be there, and we were planning on going either a few days early or staying a few days later just to do things ourselves, hit some places our own. So we were psyched about that, and then just bummed that it didn't work out. So hopefully it's in the cards that in the future we'll be there, because that was my first time when we filmed there. That was my first time going, and I grew up in New Jersey, so I wasn't far from it at all, but that was the first time going there. And just, I mean, the history of it's amazing. It's one thing reading about it or watching a movie, but actually being there and the activity and the evidence we got from pretty much 2 locations. I mean, easily could have been a season. Like, we could have had Haunted Towns, Gettysburg, and had 8 episodes of that, because it's just amazing. So I can imagine just really hitting all these different locations, the battlefields. We never even touched that. We drove through them, but never got to investigate or do our thing. There was like 0 tourist time while we were there.
Oh, you're right. We've definitely got to get back there once you're able to. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. And we want to get over there. We want to get to your neck of the woods on your side of the pond.
That'll be
You're stealing my questions now. Come on, I have enough with Joe without you taking my questions too.
Well, I got my list right here. Hey, it was talked about last year. Coming over there would have been 2020. We even started advertising stuff 2020. We're coming to the UK, and then this was at the end of last year, because then, of course, early this year, COVID. And I think the talk was supposed to be October of, so it should have been around now. If it wasn't for COVID, I think we would have been there now or already.
Oh, wow.
So it sucked.
Can you tell us where so are you going to come over next year if you can fit it in your schedule?
Oh, absolutely. We're dying to get over there. Yeah, it's like every Q&A we have when people are like, what's dream locations? And we're like, we want to go to UK. Any specific place? And we're like, anywhere. We just want to get over there and hit it, because it's like just the history of the places, from what we hear about, from what I hear about, is just so much deeper than it is here. We're investigating a place that's 200 years old, not 2,000 years old. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you just imagine, I don't know, to you it's normal probably, it's like, you hit that place, oh yeah, we hit that last week, it's nice, for us.
But it's the same though for us, because it's not easy for us just to hop on a plane and go and investigate some of the haunted locations like Bobby Mackey's and places like that. And I would love to get out there and do a kind of road trip in an RV, going and setting up all of these, like the Malvern Manor. We want to go to the Hinsdale House, and all these locations that we see on the TV all the time. And we are quite spoiled, because we do have an awful lot of history here. Historic prisons. We have some of the most haunted towns in in the whole world, really. But it's I just think it's amazing. And one day I think things will change, and you'll be able to go to America, and you guys will be able to come to the UK as well and investigate. But when you're over, you should look us up, because we can tell you some great places to go.
Yeah, well, we'll all go do it together. We just got to make a thing out of it and make it happen.
That'd be cool.
So, it's like, you want to get here, we want to get over there. It's the grass is always greener kind of thing.
Yeah. I've got a whole list of places that I want to do. Gettysburg is obviously definitely on the list.
Yeah.
Have either one of you ever been over here at all?
I came over. I've got family who live in America, so I came over just after Christmas of last year. I flew out to Ohio on Boxing Day and stayed with my cousin for a few days, and then headed down to see my really good friend Todd Bonner from Detroit Paranormal Expeditions. Mm-hmm. And he took me around the Eloise Asylum, which was, I noticed that you'd been there, because that was one of my questions, what was your experiences of the Eloise, and just try and see whether it kind of matched up to what I experienced there as well.
That place was phenomenal. We were actually scheduled again to go this following year, but I think the guys said they're doing renovations on it. When we did that event there, it's a lot of times when we do it, like we'll stay in one location, Chris will be in a location, Brandon will be in a location, then people, it's a public ghost hunt, so it'll kind of rotate to us. So I was on the 5th floor. I was there all night. I mean, it was cool. We definitely had activity. I didn't know any history of the place, and one of the guests came in there who's been there before, and he's asking people for a cigarette, and he started going on this Native American thing of like offering the tobacco and stuff. And I was like, is that really around here? I had no idea, but he started, I don't even know what he was saying, but he's like doing this whole little prayer and presenting stuff. And then meters were going off all over the place. I'm like, I thought this is an asylum. What's going on here? So it's like, to me, that brought a whole new level to where it's like, I got to look up that kind of stuff at that place. I'm trying to remember anything else that really stands out. I mean, again, we do this every weekend, so a lot of times they kind of get fuzzy. Like this past week, we just did 5. We did 3 nights at Bobby Mackey's and 2 nights at the Thomas House. So it's like 5 nights in a row. So It's like sometimes I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
But this weekend, you've got 4 locations in one night, haven't you?
What's that?
You're doing 4 locations in one evening.
If it's in one. Like one building you're talking about, or different? I'm not understanding.
So I said you've got 4 locations that you're doing. I saw advertised about 4 this weekend, about 4 locations.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It's a town called Tracy City here in Tennessee. It's like 2 hours from me, so it's close. We do a cemetery when we've been there before. There's this old bakery that I don't know the full history of the bakery. I know there was a murder there. There was a suicide there. There's a bunch of history from what it was before it's a bakery now. These old abandoned cabins that look like straight out of Friday the 13th. So they're pretty freaky. And we've had disembodied voices in there, of course, amazing EVPs, and just any kind of thing you're looking for, we've had in those cabins. And they go back history, because it's like nobody's staying in them now, they're all abandoned, but like sometime in the 80s or something, it was like a camp. Like you can see like Jimmy was here in 1980, that kind of thing written on the walls. After the war, like something where like Germans hid out in these cabins and stuff, so it goes back pretty far. The cemetery, there's a lot of activity out in the cemetery, which I normally don't like doing outside stuff too much, because you can't record, really. It's really hard to get any kind of EVPs, but we get them out there clear as day, which is pretty freaky. We had this shadow figure the last time we were there, just a few months ago, and this is before anybody showed up. Me and Chris got there early to set up equipment, and all of a sudden we're like, what the hell is that walking? You just see this black mist walking, like it looked like it was just walking straight by, and it's like, I mean, it freaks you out when you see stuff like that. And that's one thing I probably can't say, because there's a 4th location that we've never hit before, and the guy putting on the event wants to keep it as a surprise. So I can't say what that one is, but it's gonna be pretty cool. I think that whole town could be a Haunted Towns episode, because there's so much crazy stuff that goes on there. And then it's like one of those locations or towns that's like an onion. The more you peel at it, you find more and more and more. And it's like, what? I thought it was just a campground. Then it's like, oh, Germans hid out there after the war. It's like, what? I thought it was this. Then you find out more and more. So it's a pretty freaky town. I know I wouldn't want to live in Tracy City.
I think it sounds like a hive of activity, and it, for somebody for people like me and Karen, it'd be even better for us to kind of live out there. But we locations here, we tend to investigate them overnight. We don't have the luxury of being able to hire them out for the full weekends and things like that. But I just think if you can have these locations, I'm trying to think on my feet here because I'm like hearing stuff as well. But when you look at these locations that you go to, do you have like a tour manager who looks at all of the case files, or do you just sit there and discuss it as a collective and say, this is where we want to go next?
For the show, like on our own, we just do things that either people ask us to come to, or if it's something that you're booked to, or something that we just want to go to. But for the show, it's kind of collective. We have a bucket list that we'll say, here's some places we would really like to hit. And then the network has places they might want to hit, and they kind of just see if they can make it match to where it's almost like whether the location's available. You know, we might hit like Gettysburg was on the list for season 1. Salem was on the list for season 1. Then we hit some towns we never heard of, you know, because it just worked logistically where, you know, we really want to hit this spot, but they're not available. This one won't open the doors for us. This one said nothing paranormal in our town. So it's like, you can't, you know, kind of just almost putting together a tour, and it's like what works and what doesn't. I mean, there's been one, I can't remember which one it was on season 1. The night before leaving to it, the location called and said, yeah, no, we don't want to do this. And it's like, so the night before, you know, the producers and all that are scrambling, and they're like, we need to find another location now. You know, it was one of the 2 or 3, whatever town we went to, because doing haunted towns, you hit multiple locations, and it was just one of them. So we needed another one. They found one, whatever. I can't even remember what town it was, but I knew that just the night before it fell apart.
Wow.
You know,
that happens, doesn't it? That happens within the TV industry, and you know, you're always left trying to find locations last minute, which can prove difficult.
Yeah.
Have you got some questions, Karen?
Yeah, I was just saying, listening. Sorry.
She's like, oh.
I know, I'm just so interested. It's really good, you know, because you're answering stuff that I want to ask you, but you're answering anyway, so that's great. I need to ask you this question, or I will literally get shot by my husband. He wants to know, if you're allowed to answer, he wants to know why you stopped doing the trap inventions. So Brannon stopped doing them in the haunted towns. Was that because of you guys stopped doing them, or was that because of the production company?
That was a Ghost Asylum thing. So when we moved over to haunted towns, it was just a different thing to do. But with Ghost Asylum, I'm going to go by what the guys were saying, because a lot of that was pre-me. That was before me. So, but I know they wanted it. It's like the word trap was an easy word that the network came up with. But
I thought you might.
Yeah, it's like, so I think there was flack for it because it's not really like trying to trap a ghost. It's seeing if you can contain energy. And to this day, people ask about that. Like, you can't trap a ghost. And it's like, well, you're saying trap a ghost, or do you word it contain energy? And it's like, and 9 times out of 10, somebody who says you can't contain energy is the same kind of person that would say this doll is haunted, or ever since we brought this armoire from my grandma's house into our house, we've been having activity. It's like, is it not contained in that? You know, it's like, so
it contains energy,
we're not saying yes, we're not saying no, but if it can get contained into something on its own, maybe we can do that too. You know, maybe we can bring something in and have it in there and contain it, at least just for a little while. And from what they said, there's maybe a couple times, definitely one, but twice, that something did contain at least for a little while. Yeah. But again, it's paranormal. Like we say, there's no facts. There's no no, there's no concrete. So it's like, in our opinion, yes, you can. So.
Well, everything contains energy, doesn't it? So, you know, and you can't deny that because it's a true fact. But yeah, I wasn't sure whether you'd be able to answer that or not. But he's like, just ask him anyway. You see, because it's the only one thing I want to know. Because it used to be really interesting. That's why. And it was something different that no one's ever done before, and no one's ever done since. So yeah, we were just intrigued whether it was production company or what it was, and why it stopped happening. So this is my opportunity.
Definitely switching shows. If there was a season 4 of Ghost Asylum, I'm sure it would have still been going on. But at that point, it kind of morphed into haunted towns. So it's like, instead of just one place and a trap, or, you know, that kind of thing, it's like we gravitated to haunted towns and just kind of a different production, I guess, on it, hitting more than just one location, see if any of these spirits can move around town. Are they? So I guess in essence, it's a pinch of that, because are they contained into a house, or can they move outside the house? And again, using that same thing, if it's a house, and how many of us do this that go, can you leave here, or are you trapped here? Do we not use that word? It's like everybody uses that word, and it's
We've
like,
all done it.
yeah, and it's like, and a lot of times you go, I think the spirit's trapped here. Well, there, you just contained energy inside the walls of, whether it be concrete or drywall, you can contain it in that, so it just depends on how you look at it, how you word it, is it a ghost? Is it a spirit? Is it energy? Is it, I think when people say you can't trap a ghost, it makes it sound like a mousetrap, oh, there's a ghost, and it's not that,
Like I say, it's just one of those questions I had to ask. It just used to intrigue me, basically. So I had to ask about it. Haunted Towns. So is there going to be another season after this one?
We hope so. We really, really hope so. I mean, when there was talk about it, again, beginning of the year, and the last, from Ghost Asylum to Haunted Town, season 1, season 2, when we started having the early talks about it with the network, was always early in the year. So as soon as things maybe started getting talked about of different shows and different ideas and concepts, COVID hit and just put everything, all the networks on hold, basically. So the ones that were airing during that time, or more recently, they at least were fortunate enough to start filming last year or before the stuff hit. I think now they're just starting to get out and start filming some more. We're buddies with the Ghost Brothers. I know they're doing some stuff right now, which is really cool. So I think they're easing back into it. But whether it be Haunted Towns, maybe. I know we have a few other things that we're talking about. But this is what we were saying before. I can talk about it because there's nothing concrete. But there are some definite other concepts and ideas that are being talked about right now.
So out of all the towns in the USA, out of the ones that you've already investigated, I know you mentioned Gettysburg. Obviously, you wouldn't mind going back there. Is there a town that you would like to go and investigate that you haven't already done so?
A town that I would like to investigate that we haven't. Probably it'd be a busy town, but if they can shut it down anywhere, probably in DC, in Washington, or something like that, or Philly, something that has that deep American history, like a big one that we always get is, what's top of your bucket list in the US? And I forgot what I always used to say, and somebody brought this up, and I'm like, you just changed my answer, because the number one, it would never happen, but would be the White House. It's like, I think that would be amazing to investigate, because who knows the secrets that building holds, but also that town. So it's like anywhere in DC or Philadelphia, I think that would be really cool. I know they're mad busy, so it's like it'd be kind of difficult to get in any building, but anything like that, I think would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I think the White House would be amazing, because it's seen so many different presidents there, and the history is rich, isn't it, in Washington anyway itself. I'm surprised by Philadelphia as well. Why you said Philadelphia?
Oh, just the same kind of thing. The same, from, I don't know, you can call it from watching National Treasure. It's like, you watch those movies, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But it's like just that same, anything that's that, and it's like, I'm not a history buff by no means, but I don't know, just that era of American history, it's like the birth of America, those towns. So it's like, just to see, would we get activity from that period, something after, or was it something prior to that? Because it's like the whole birth of America is all those little towns, those little Boston towns, those, DC and Philly, and it's like, this was signed here and that was signed there, so it's like they just have so much in common. So any of those towns would be really cool. I mean, we hit outside of Boston stuff in Massachusetts, but never hit that angle of it, that side of it, the American history side.
Yeah, because you went to Salem, didn't you, as well, with Haunted Towns, and you investigated Salem. What were your findings from that area?
Oh, oof, that was a long time ago.
Sorry, I love Salem. I absolutely love that place. And
obviously the thing is, all the shows your shows here are obviously delayed by like about a year or something. So when you're filming the next one, we're kind of like, hold on, we're just on the first one.
Yeah, Salem, that was like probably, I think like 3 years ago when we filmed that. So it's been a bit. One thing that does stand out there, I can't remember the name of the actual building we were in, but we thought this was really cool. That Doogie was in the attic and Chris was either on a bottom floor or in a basement. They were very far apart. And Chris was asking whatever spirit was there to manipulate him in some way, grab his leg, touch his ear. And at that time it was doing it. So to me, is that a question? Can it be in two places at one time? And here you're asking on one level to have something affect him physically way at the top of the house, and it was doing it. So that stands out. Again, I can't remember the name of the actual building we were in, but I know that was in Salem, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's somewhere I'd like to go to.
One day.
One day. It's on the list. I have a very big list. Let's just say.
I keep sitting there saying to myself, yep, I'll get there one day. I'll get there one day. I'll get there one day.
But then we have actually started. Well, I've actually started booking places next year. That are on my bucket list, and I'm like, I'm not waiting anymore. After this year, I'm like, right, that's it. Like, there's certain places, so I've booked them. I didn't even ask the team whether they wanted to go. I just booked them anyway. I'm like, I want to go. So
this is what we're doing.
So, would you consider yourself to be a skeptic, or would you say you're very, very open-minded?
A good balance of both. It's very, very healthy to be a skeptic, and we tell people that all the time. It's like, don't believe what somebody tells you. Don't believe what you read, what you see on the internet, and it's like, don't believe a photograph. We always tell people, like, a big question is, what's your best piece of evidence? And we always say your best piece of evidence is, I can speak for myself and a couple other guys from the team, we don't have a photo of it. We don't have an audio of it. It's that personal experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very healthy to be skeptic. Don't believe, you experience it for yourself and let that be the turning point. And then once you have that, then you can seek out, I really want to catch an EVP. I really want to capture something on video, but be a nice balance of both, because I mean, let's face it, you go in these old places and every little creak and knock, you're going to, ooh, it's a ghost. And it's like, it's not, but
we are the biggest for doing stuff like that, even being a medium. And you're throwing out names, you're throwing out dates and things like that. And obviously when you're doing that and people are saying, oh, I don't think I can take that, but then they come back to you 2 weeks later and say, well, actually you were right, this person's this. And those personal experiences that people have, even though they can't take it on the evening, they take it away and then they come back 2 weeks later and say, oh yeah, I remember that now. And even venues and buildings, just because you're investigating like a church hall or something like that, doesn't mean to say that there weren't children there or a Masonic lodge or anything like that. When, people don't know, do they? Unless they were there at that time, they wouldn't have known what was happening.
Yeah. Is it something there before that building was even there?
Yeah.
And it's like, as we say, it's very good to be a nice balance of both. You don't want to be that guy. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, and it's like, you don't want to be everything's a ghost, and that personal experience is anybody's personal experience. It's like, you really can't take that away. Usually they're, oh, I was here. Here's what I was doing. Here's what it smelled like. Here's what I thought I saw. And it's like, you can describe all that.
Yeah.
So you can't take those personal experiences away, no matter how many, especially your first, but like somebody can go, so what did, like, you're just asking, so what happened in Salem? And it's like, ooh, I've done 100 things since then. So I got to try to rewind to it. But, that's the best piece of evidence, is that personal experience. And I think to have a balance of believing and being a little bit of a skeptic that's how you're going to get it. You got to be open-minded enough just to let that happen.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any activity happen at your house?
Oh, it better not. I don't even want to know. I don't even.
Okay.
Yeah, because if there is something,
Believe that one.
Yeah, if it follows, people ask, does anything follow you home? And I always say no. And if it does, I don't want to know. I don't even test equipment. Like I'll put batteries in a recorder and go test, test, test. Good. But if I sit there and go, oh, hello, is somebody here? And yes. House for sale. Like I don't want it. I mean, I love it. I live it when I'm out, and when I come home, I'm like, that's me though. Some people love it. They embrace it. They're like, my house is so haunted. I'm like, and you're happy. And I mean, if you're happy, that's cool. God bless you. But I'm like, I don't want that at home. And if it is, I don't want to know.
No.
Yeah, that's a bit like my house, isn't it, Joe? Like,
at least halfway house for the dead, I think.
Yeah, halfway. Yeah, it's crazy. But I literally, even though I do what I do, I try to ignore it as much as possible. I don't listen to anything.
How can you ignore it? Literally, I was sitting on your sofa, and literally, I just stood there and I was like, who's the little girl? And she was like, what? And I was like, the little girl. She was like, you can see her. And I was like, yep, as clear as day. She was like, I can't see her. And then I said, who's the school mistress as well who comes in? I said, she's got this, this, and this. And she's like, oh my God, you've just described so-and-so to me. I'm like, well, yeah. So you walk into Karen's house and that's what it's like.
Okay, you're never coming to my house then, because I don't want you to see anything. You're like, guess who's in America? I'll meet you somewhere.
Oh, dude, it's so funny.
No, I don't want to. It sounds stupid, but I don't want to know. I do, but I don't. But I don't want to communicate with them, because once you start communicating with them, that's it then. Like, when am I ever going to have a life? When am I ever going to sleep? When am I going to live? So I just kind of ignore them. I try to. My husband's like, oh, did you see the girl when she's in the hall? I'm like, did you hear that? Did you see that? And I'm like, no. And just I'm like, I might have, but I'm like, no, I'm watching the TV. I heard nothing. I saw nothing. I am not going to tell you I did, because then the whole line of communication is going to happen. So I'm like, no, didn't see anything. No, didn't hear anything. It doesn't matter who it is.
That's like my partner's house. And it's like, it was the first time I ever stepped foot in the house, I was like, oh, the old lady's here. And all she said to me was, hello, dear. I was like, hi.
See, even a hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for being nice, but I don't know.
He said, no thanks. You're not coming in. Not a chance. That's it. That's your invite gone now, Joe. Look what you've done.
I know some good hotels. How did your wife and your family did they support you doing obviously the paranormal side of things?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They support it. They love it. They like watching it on TV. But like my wife, I invite her out to a few things that we did that were locally, and she's like, no, I don't want to do that. Or I'll play a little something. Here's what I got this weekend. And she's like, oh, no. Or I can never sleep there. But she'll watch it on TV, and, there's other things that, like, if I bring something home, I'll leave it in the garage and not say nothing, that kind of thing. It's like a little trinket or something that'll stay in the garage. But she's the nice balance. A little bit of a skeptic, but even if you have that much that believes, it's like it's enough to, let's go back to the bugs. There's this much chance that spider might be poisonous, so I don't even want to get near it. So I think that's how she is. My parents are the same way. I think they might do something, but they just enjoy watching it on TV, and so what happened this weekend? So they get excited about it, but
yeah.
I don't.
So what other things do these little trinkets and things that what are these things that are hiding away in your garage?
Well, the last thing we got was it's in my garage right now. We got it from Bobby Mackey's. We do a lot of things. We did it from every location on the show, and we try to do it outside the show, all with permission, of course. But it'll come with a photograph, but like some kind of trinket, whether it's a piece of the building or some kind of artifact from that location, and then we put it on eBay and auction it off for charity.
Wow.
And people buy stuff, which is great. They want pieces of haunted locations. And this last one, I don't know if you know any of the history from Bobby Mackey's, the guy Carl, who has an apartment upstairs. He used to be a caretaker. He was possessed, this and that. And Bobby Mackey's is known for being the portal to hell down in a well. So all with permission, we got a piece of Bobby Mackey's, some kind of Bobby Mackey memorabilia, but then also from Carl's apartment, they gave us a liquor bottle that he had in his cabinet. And then we went down to the basement into the portal and filled it with, there was dirt, debris, pieces of the flooring, rocks that looked like coal. I don't know if they were, but just filled the bottle about halfway with debris from the portal. So I don't know. I mean, even Chris said to that, he goes, "You think Jen's going to let you bring that in the house?" I'm like, I ain't going to tell her. I'll just keep it in the garage. So,
well, let's hope she's not watching this, because she will be saying to you, "You can get that right out of the garage now."
Right. And I mean, there's part of me, I do believe things can follow you home. I think there could be attachments. Yes. That nice balance. But that was one of the things, out of the few things, we get stuff from all over, but that was one of the few where I'm like, should I keep this outside? Does it matter if it's outside? Should it, but it's in a garage now. It's on eBay actually right now too. So yeah, it only has to live with me for about another 6 days, and then it's going to somebody else's house.
Well, that's good, and that you do it for charity as well, because it's fantastic that charities can benefit from these haunted items. And even if it isn't haunted, people will still buy things because it's come from a haunted location.
Yeah,
it's memorabilia, isn't it?
I think it's really cool. I mean, I can look at it from music stuff, like buying any kind of memorabilia from an artist that you really like. And it's like knowing that the money goes to charity, but you're getting something cool out of it. And all these people, a lot of people that do it, they want to start a collection of haunted items, and they can't go to the location themselves. So it's like, what better way to get that, So, and it does help out the charities. We do a lot of stuff with Autism Speaks. So a lot of it goes to that. During COVID, we were doing stuff for different COVID relief things. We got something coming up for Lost Limbs Foundation. So it's like, we'll pick something and,
So you're always changing. So it's always a different charity pretty much each time. So you're trying to help as many as possible by the sound of it. Yeah.
We'll like if something hits home, something, different. Majority of them went for Autism Speaks. Brandon on the team, he's on a spectrum. So it's like Autism Speaks kind of hits home a little bit more for us. So unless it was something else that stands out, like we're going to give to this one for this reason, they usually all go to Autism Speaks.
Yeah, because that's what I do for a job when I am at work. That's what I do for a job. I work with autistic adults.
Oh, right on. And it's like a lot of the fans are on the spectrum themselves, or have family members, their kids or something that are on the spectrum, and they love the paranormal. They love the show. And, occasionally they get to come out. We met a couple kids that came out a few weeks ago, and it's cool, because I think it helps them, from what their parents say, helps them get out of their shell a little bit, and you're not the weird kid, you're around a bunch of weird kids. So it's like, they kind of felt at home talking with us, talking to other people, and it kind of opens them up a little bit more and gets them out of their shell.
No, it's good. Like I said, I was working on an event, and we had a young man that he came with his support worker, and he absolutely loved it. And he was so interested in what was going on. And he's like, "Can I add you all as friends on Facebook? And can I talk to you all and everything about experiences and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, it's cool. No problem. Of course you can. You're more than welcome to." And he absolutely loved it. And he said, it's just one of those things that he's able to do. And it's an activity that it's with other people, and he gets to make so many new friends that he wouldn't normally get to make. And gets people he wouldn't normally get to meet.
Yep.
Well, school's hard enough anyway, isn't it, when you're growing up, and being interested in this kind of thing, and being the weird kid, so to speak, it's difficult anyway, just for anybody who hasn't got any any learning disabilities or anything like that, or anybody who's on the spectrum. It's hard enough. Life's difficult.
Yeah. And then you add that on top of it, and I think a lot of people on the spectrum are almost like, it's another theory with kids. Are they more open to the paranormal? Can they see things that we can't see? And there's I'm sure a book that thick on theories on that. And I think people on a spectrum, whether they're kids or adults, have that same openness, because I don't think they're as polluted as we are with everything going on in the world. You know, they kind of have their own life going on, which is great. And I think them coming out and doing stuff opens up so much more, even for us being with them, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So you were saying about going back to the items and things, and obviously for the charities now. So is it you just put the things on eBay, and that's how you work? And people bid for them, I take it.
Yeah, we'll put them on eBay and share them on our social media, and then they just, you know, whoever wins it, we pack it and ship it and wish them luck.
I like that. Wish them luck.
We'll have to have a look at some stuff, Karen, I think.
Say that again, sorry.
We'll have to have a look at some stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And also, at least then we can put a link on to your page and everything. So if that is something people will be interested in, I think that's more important. If people are going to buy stuff like that the money's actually going to go to a charity or a worthy cause.
Right. Yeah. Because it's probably a little more difficult for somebody to shell out a few $100, just go away with it, you know, but here it goes to a charity, and, you know, so you feel good and you get something cool out of it.
That sounds awesome anyway.
Sorry. So I got knocking in my kitchen again. I had it last night as well.
Keep telling you need to tell them to go to bed.
It's that little girl.
Yeah. She's a little cute thing, but Karen's never seen her. So Eddie, Karen's husband's seen her, and I've seen her. A couple of other friends have seen her as well, but Karen just hasn't. And I think one day, quite soon, she might actually see her, but we'll see.
Good luck with that. I wouldn't want to see her.
You never leave me alone.
Maybe look on Facebook and be like, Karen's home is now for sale.
Yeah, I just think it's just the way the house is, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just across the road from a cemetery as well, which, you know, they're passing through when we're talking about trapping of energies and things like that. You know, do they travel to other places? Do they not? Well, she'd have a whole boatload of them if they were all in the cemetery.
It's literally a stone's throw from my house. It literally just cross the road and you're in the cemetery, basically. That's how close we are.
Yeah.
And this is like 1930s, so it's got plenty of its own history anyway. So
yeah. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't seem to bother anybody because everybody tends to come and stay here all the time. So no one seems to care about it. So
well, it's like people tell me, "Oh, you're okay. You live in a neighborhood." I'm like, "Do you remember the movie Poltergeist? They lived in a neighborhood, and that house went to hell."
Yeah, Amityville as well. That was in a neighborhood as well, wasn't it?
All right, guys. Okay, it's got a bit dark now. Thanks. I'll be thinking about this.
And then you get it across from a cemetery, and ooh.
Well, there's nothing wrong with cemeteries. I grew up near a cemetery. My house was a stone's throw from a cemetery when I grew up. And then I worked with spirits of a different kind then, because my parents bought an old pub, and, you know, we used to hear all sorts in there. Yeah. So, but
I do like a haunted pub. Not for the alcohol, but for the actual spirits.
For the spirits and the spirits, yeah.
I think every pub I've actually worked in, because I used to work in pubs years ago, every pub I worked in, it's literally had some sort of haunting. I don't think there's... Even the nightclub I was at, it was awful. The nightclub, yeah, it wasn't fun. They couldn't wait to stock up the bar and get out of there, the young ones. They were like, "Why are you not scared?" And I'm like, "What's to be scared?" This is before I started working at Paranormal. I was like, "What's to be scared of?" And they're not going to hurt you. No, I can't do it. As soon as they knew there was like people walking around and they used to literally scared the life out of them. Literally, they were like, "What time can we go home?" Like, as soon as you've done that, you can go. Okay. Oh, you've never seen anybody work so fast at the end of the night.
I'll do that in the morning. I got to go.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter, does it? Activity happens at any time during the day. And most people just associate hauntings with evenings and, you know, the dead of night, because they just seem to think that everything just comes out of an evening. But it isn't. Activity happens all the time.
Yeah. All the time. It's just, and we'll experience that in some of the places that are definitely more off the beaten path. You know, it's not like in town. It's like at night, less contamination, less traffic, less people. So you get these places out in the middle of nowhere. It's like daytime, you get just as much, sometimes more. But for the show, it's like those reasons, plus it looks spookier, to be at night somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like that sensory deprivation, though, isn't it, as well? If it's dark, you can hardly see anything. So your hearing automatically takes over as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. All your other senses come into play more.
Yeah. And people like me don't tend to walk around with a torch because I just don't think to turn one on. That sounds really crazy, I know, but we did a location last week and like, Karen, where's your torch? What? Yeah, it's in the kit box. You're not going to put it on? I was like, well, no, because I know my way around. What do I need to use my torch for? You've got torches. Why do I need one? I'm really, really bad at that. I do that at a lot of places we go to, especially if I'm familiar with them.
Or you walk around and it's in your case that you're walking around with, but you can't find it in your case because it's dark. So you need that.
I just don't bother. If I load the location, I just don't even bother getting it out. I know where it is. I just don't bother using it.
But I think, going on, you wanting to come to the UK next year. Hopefully we'll come to America at some point as well in the next few years, I think.
2
years.
It's down. 2 years.
It's in a calendar already.
Yeah.
I know. I need to save up some annual leave, I think. She wouldn't be surprised
about that. I tell her, by the way, 2022 on this date we're going to. Yeah.
We'll have a contest. Can we get over there first, or you get over here first?
Oh, wow.
We never know about that, do we?
Yeah, let's see. You'll probably end up coming here first because we've got that much going on next year.
We are super busy.
Yeah, we've had to this year is morphed It's morphed into next year because we had so much stuff booked this year that obviously we've had to move to next year. So,
that's a good problem. That's a good problem.
It's a great problem to have, but
there's not enough weekends in the year for me. I need more.
There's not enough hours in the day either at the minute, is there? So.
No, there's not. No, not at all.
But we've loved speaking to you tonight, Mike. So thank you so much for taking the time to give us the lowdown on your TV career and obviously what you've been doing and what you are going to be doing in the future. So it's great that you've come on and you've discussed everything with us. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry this one took so long with the back and forth. Anytime, let me know. Anytime.
Sounds good.
We get the other guys on too. We'll do a big old group thing.
Yeah,
thank you.
That sounds great.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So it was so bye from me, bye from Joe, and bye from Mike.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
That's cool. Stay there and we'll be back with you in just a minute.
So
me or them?
You stay there.
You stay there. And everybody else out there, you stay there too, because we've got so much more coming for you to see